Welcome to lecture 21. In the last class we have seen how to find out the Laplace transform of any signal. Then we also have seen some of the properties of the Laplace transform. So in continuation with it, next property we'll see, that is the time shifting property. So what is the time shifting property of the Laplace transform? So if let's say I have a signal x which has been shifted by an amount of tau towards the right side, so what is the Laplace transform of it, right? So we'll go with the definition of the Laplace transform, that is x of s is equal to, say, 0 negative or minus infinity to plus infinity x of t into e raised to minus st dt. This is basically the definition. So let me write this. For what purpose I have to find it out? X of t minus tau into e raised to minus st dt. So I will use the variable m is equal to t minus tau. So you can write t is equal to m plus tau, where your dt will be equal to dm. Okay, so this will be minus infinity to plus infinity x of m e raised to minus s, t will be m plus tau with dm. Okay, and this I can write as minus infinity to plus infinity xm e raised to minus m dm into e raised to minus s tau, which is e raised to minus s tau into x of s. Okay, so if I'll shift, let's say, the unit step signal by 3 towards side, so what is the Laplace transform if I would like to find it out? So what it will be? It will be e raised to minus 3s into u of s, and u of s is 1 by s. So that way you can find it out quickly. The next property is a time scaling property. So time scaling property is that if I'll compress the signal, so what is its corresponding effect in Laplace domain, or if I'll dilate the signal, what is its corresponding effect, right? So that can be done by multiplying some constant with independent variable t. So what is the Laplace transform, or what is its effect in transform domain? So if I would like to find it out, so Laplace of x of a t will use the same thing, that is minus infinity to plus infinity x of a t e raised to minus st dt, and suppose a t is equal to m, so t will be m by a, and this implies dt will be 1 by a into dm. Okay, and then this I can write as 1 by a minus infinity to plus infinity x of m e raised to minus s m by a dm, and this I can write as x of s by a. So here you can see the inverse definition, that inverse relation, that is if I multiply with a to the independent variable t, what is happening in Laplace domain? It is a dividing, right? So it is the inverse relationship. It means if I compress in time domain, what its corresponding effect in spectrum domain or frequency domain, it will dilate it. Or if I dilate the signal in time domain, what's its effect? Its effect is in compression, that way. The next important property is the convolution property, basically. So this says that we know basically convolution, that is to be represented with this symbol. So if I'll convolve x of t with any signal, let's say y of t, so what is its Laplace transform? It will be the multiplication of the Laplace transform of x of t with y of t, and then simply you can take it the inverse of it and you can write it. Okay, now with this we are quite enough to find out the Laplace transform of any sort of signal or anything by which we have been expressed the network or the circuit which we are going to solve it. Okay, so with this you know the circuit, you can write the equation, and it with this Laplace transform is enough for you to find out the Laplace transform. Okay, and now next is, okay, we have converted, let's say, time domain representation in Laplace domain representation. So what is next? So next we have to say now what can be done so that I can convert again back to the time domain signal, because what I want everything in time domain representation, right? So first from time domain I have converted in transform domain, and from transform domain again I have converted back into time domain form. Okay, So for that we'll see what is my inverse Laplace transform. So in order to explain that, let is that inverse Laplace transform. So in order to explain that, I'll start with let's say my second order generalized second order equation is suppose d0 a0 d2x by dt square plus what it will be a1 dx by dt plus a2x or x of t, which is equal to say some forcing function f of t, right? So now if I'll take the Laplace, what it will be a0 s square minus s x of 0 negative minus x prime of 0 negative plus a1 s x of s minus a1 x of 0 negative plus a2 x of s, which is equal to f of s. And then what I'll do, because all the initial conditions I can shift on the right hand side, a0 s square a0 s, this is all multiplied with x of s. Okay, so here x of s, here x of s, okay, here not x of s, a0 s square plus a1 s x of s plus a2 x of s, and all the initial conditions let me shift on one side, other side. So f of s plus s x of 0 negative plus x dash of 0 positive plus a1 x of 0 negative. Okay, and then what I again I have forgotten to write this x of s. So now it will be a0 s square plus a1 s plus a2 into x of s, which will be equal to the Laplace transform of the forcing function plus all the initial conditions. Fine, and then I will write x of s will be equal to f of s, that is the Laplace of forcing function plus initial conditions, and divided by this a0 s square plus a1s plus a2. And now this is my characteristic equation. Okay, so this characteristic equation I can write a0 s square plus a1s plus a2, and then I will find out the roots, and once I have the roots, I'll apply the partial fraction, I'll find out the residues of the partial fraction, and then I'll take the inverse Laplace transform by the use of standard pair. Okay, this will be basically my process. Okay, and if it is the nth order, what it will be, it will a0 raised to n, a1 raised to n minus 1s, like this. So my denominator polynomial will be now a0 s raised to n generalized. Okay, a1 s raised to n minus 1 plus a2 s raised to n minus 2, like this, a1s an minus 1s plus an. Okay, so and this you can again express by taking the roots 1 to let's say n roots. So suppose the roots are p minus pi or s minus s-mi, and this will be equal to 0. Roots will be s minus pi, for example yp, s variable we are using, so it will be s. Okay, now here question comes, while we are taking the partial fraction, what should be the condition? And that what should be the condition means how to find out the roots of the not roots, residues of the partial fraction expansion. Okay. So for that again it depends on the roots of my characteristic equation, that is d of s. So what will happen if the roots are real and distinct, or if the roots are simple? If roots are simple, then how can we write that? Okay, so if roots are simple, what will happen? You can write the numerator and denominator this way, which will be, numerator will be as it is and denominator will be like this, s plus p1 s plus p2 to s plus pn, and if I'll apply the partial fraction, what it will be, k1 upon s plus p1 plus k2 upon s plus p2, like this. Okay, kn upon s plus pn. Now again here note that while we are applying the partial fraction, again we have to check the condition that order of numerator has to be less than order of denominator. Okay, if not, then what to do? If let's say my order of numerator is say m, if it is not less than or equal to order of denominator, or if order of numerator is equal to order of denominator, or order of numerator is greater than order of denominator, so what is to be done? You divide numerator by denominator, right? You will get it something, so that you can again express as quotient plus some remainder, which you will get it divided by the division whatever you have. Okay, and now you will find here that the order of denominator will be definitely greater than that of order of numerator, and then you can use the partial fraction. Okay. So here we are assuming that order of numerator is less than order of denominator, means it is, you can it is easy for us to find out the partial fraction. Now next, what if the roots are repeated? So numerator and denominator, if I'll get like this, numerator, and say if I have r roots, s plus pj raised to r. So this how can we express in partial fraction? So kj1 upon s plus pj, for example, plus kj2 over s plus pj square plus kj3 over s plus pj3. Likewise, you can go up to kjr over s plus pjr. Okay, that way you can express if the roots are repeated. Third, what if the roots are complex conjugate? So if the roots are complex conjugate, here repeated. Okay, so if the roots are complex conjugate pair, that you can write as something like k1 over, suppose I have the roots minus alpha plus minus j omega, so it will be s plus alpha minus j omega, for example, plus conjugate of it, k1 conjugate s minus alpha plus j omega. Okay, that way you can express it. Okay, now next, to find out what are the values of, or how to find out the residues, that we have to see. So we'll see one by one. So if roots are simple, how can you quickly find out the residues? So numerator and denominator I have, which will be k1 upon s plus p1, we have already explained it, or we have already expressed it, k3 over s plus p3, likewise. So suppose there are n roots, so I will write s plus p. Now if I want to find out this residue k1, so what to do? You multiply the root, corresponding root, which is that s plus p1, with the numerator and denominator what I have, that is n of s over d of s, and then you evaluate it at s is equal to minus p1. So whatever the value you will get it, that will be my value of k1. Okay, for example, if I have, let's say the voltage equation is 2s plus 3 over say s square plus 3s plus say 2. So what are the roots here? 2s plus 3 over s plus 1 and s plus 2. So this I can express as k1 upon s plus 1 plus k2 upon s plus 2. Now what next? I have to find out the value of k1, so which will be at which root? S plus 1. So s plus 1 I will multiply with n of s and d of s. So what is n of s? 2s plus 3 over s plus 1 into s plus 2, and then I will evaluate at s is equal to minus 1. So this will vanish. So if you substitute s is equal to minus 1, so it will be 1 divided by simple 1. Got it? Okay. Similarly, if I would like to find out k2, so again same, s plus 2 multiply with 2 n of s and d of s, so which is s plus 1, s plus 2, and evaluated s is equal to minus 2. Okay, so this is again 1. So that's way also you can find out the residue. So it will be 1 over s plus 1 plus 1 over s plus 2. Got it? So you can do that way. Now next, if the roots are repeated, how can you find it out? Okay, so next, if the roots are repeated, then how to find out the residues? So suppose I have numerator and denominator, right, which let me express this way: r of s over, suppose s plus pi or pj raised to r. R of s is what? It may happen that in denominator part you may get some of the roots may be repeated and some of the roots may be simple. So the polynomial in n of s and the roots which are not repeated, I'll make it as r of s. Okay, and then I'll express this as kj1 over s plus pj plus kj2 over s plus pj square. That way I can write, and I can go with kjr upon s plus pj raised to r. And now I have to compute kj1, kj2, kjr, that are the residues. So how to compute? This is now question. So what can be done? You multiply s plus pj raised to r to this on the both sides. So if I multiply, what will be on the left hand side? It will be r of s is equal to kj1 s plus pj raised to r minus 1, okay, plus kj2, it will be s plus pj raised to r minus 2. Likewise, what will be at the end? It will be simply kjr, okay, and that you evaluate at s is equal to minus pj. Okay, so what will happen if I'll evaluate this r of s at s is equal to minus pj? Because on left side there will be one polynomial, so I'll evaluate that polynomial at s is equal to minus pj. Here if I'll put it s is equal to minus pj, this term will vanish. So you will simply first find out the value of kjr. Okay, this you got it. Now what next? I have to compute kj2, kj1 like this. I will go this way. Okay, so in order to compute that, I don't want this s plus pj term. Okay, so what can be done to remove this s plus pj? I will take it the differentiation. So if I'll differentiate it one time, r dash of s, it will be kj1 s plus pj some r minus 2, it will be r minus 1, right? So this way if you will do, this will, as it is a constant, so it is 0. And what about this term? It will be s plus pj, okay, into some kj r minus 1. So this will be now simply the constant, right? So there will be the multiplication of s factor will not be there. So now I'll evaluate this at s is equal to minus pj. So I will get this coefficient. Now if I would like to write the one more coefficient here, so again you differentiate one more time. So now there will be no multiplication of s in this case. So you can evaluate at s is equal to minus pj, you will get it that way you can find it out. So generalized formula I can express at kjr, not kjr, now r are the roots. So kjn will be 1 over the number of multiplicity minus n factorial into differentiate with r minus 1 divided by ds raised to r minus 1 into r of s, and let us evaluate this s at what? Minus pg. So that way you can solve. Okay. To illustrate this, let me take one example. Suppose my example is 2s square plus 3s plus 2 over s plus 1 cube. Okay, now I have, let's say, the multiplicity of 3. So how can you, where is the root? 1. So k1 1 over s plus 1 plus k1 2 over s plus 1 square plus k1 3 over s plus 1 cube. Okay, now what next? I will put it r of, multiply with s plus 1 cube, so it will be 2s square plus 3s plus 2 will be equal to k1 s plus 1 square plus k1 2 s plus 1, okay, and this will be k1 3. Now this I have to evaluate at s is equal to minus 1. So if I evaluate, what it will be? This term will vanish, this term will vanish, right? And what will be here? It will be s is equal to minus 1, no? Okay, so s is equal to minus 1. If I evaluate, it will be 2 minus 3 plus 2, so it will be minus, it means it is plus 1, this will be 0, this will be 0, and k13. So first coefficient I got it as k13, which is 1. Okay, now to get it k12, I'll differentiate this one time, so it will be 4s plus 3, which is equal to 2 times k1 s plus 1, plus now it will be k12 plus 0. Okay, this is vanished, and this I will evaluate at s is equal to minus 1, so it will be minus 4 plus 3. This is now vanished here, so it will be simply k12. So your k12 will be minus 1. Now to get it k11, to get it k11, I will differentiate one more time. So now differentiation is 4 equal to 2 times k11, and all are 0. So now k11 will be 2. So here 2s square plus 3s plus 2 over s plus 1 cube. This I can write as 1, k11 is 2 over s plus 1 minus 1 over s plus 1 square plus 1 over s plus 1 cube, and I can find out the inverse of it. Okay, so that way I can find out the residues for the roots if they are repeated. Now what if they are complex conjugate? Okay, so in order to do that, let me have one more. Shall we take one more example? Okay, or let us, because this is same process only, so let us will directly go with the complex conjugate pair. So complex conjugate pair, how can we write? Say I have a numerator of denominator like this something, and I know alpha plus minus j omega is the term. Okay, so I would like to evaluate at the value k1 will be, suppose root is alpha plus s plus alpha minus j omega into, I'll get it some numerator, and denominator there will be s plus alpha minus j omega, and this will be s minus alpha plus j omega. Okay, and then okay, or s plus alpha plus j omega, and s is equal to alpha minus j omega. Any way you can take. Okay, so from that what I'll get, I'll express into, because if I'll substitute, I'll get it the complex terms in numerator and denominator, and then I will express it into the polar form, that is the magnitude r into e raised to j theta. Okay, and now for next conjugate I don't have to do any work, simply next coefficient residue will be k1 conjugate, so which will be r e raised to minus j theta. Okay, and now if I would like to take the inverse, for example, what will be the inverse? Say I had two roots, k1 over s plus alpha minus j omega, and k1 conjugate was like this, s plus alpha plus j omega. So k1 I got it r e raised to j theta over, suppose s plus alpha minus j omega, plus it will be r e raised to minus j theta over s plus alpha plus j omega, and then I will apply the inverse. So inverse, if I'll apply, what it will be r e raised to j theta into e raised to minus s plus alpha plus j omega t. Okay, plus r e raised to minus j theta, it will be e raised to, okay, not minus it will be minus alpha plus j omega t, and it will be minus alpha minus j omega t. Okay, and this will be r e raised to j theta into e raised to minus alpha t, e raised to minus means it will be plus j omega t plus r e raised to minus j theta e raised to minus alpha t into e raised to minus j omega t. Okay, and then what I'll do, I'll take it r and e raised to minus alpha t common, so it will be e raised to j theta plus j omega plus e raised to minus j omega t plus theta. Okay, it will be e raised to j is outside, so omega t plus theta. And this is what? This is, if you apply the Euler's identity, it will be 2 times r e raised to minus alpha t into cosine of omega t plus theta. This is the simplest form you can write. Again, you don't have to solve here and there. Okay, so for this one example, say I have the second order differential equation. So second order differential equation, let me write as d2i by dt square plus 4 di by dt plus 5i, which will be equal to 5 into u of t. So I would like to find out for i. So what it will be, s square I of s minus s I of 0 negative minus I dash of 0 negative plus 4 s I of s minus 4 I of 0 negative plus 5 I of s, which will be equal to 5 upon s. Okay, and now assume that I of 0 negative is 1 ampere and I dash of 0 negative is 2 ampere. Okay, so I'll put it here. So it will be s square I of s minus 2 plus 4s I of s minus 4 into I of 0, so it will be minus 4 plus 5 into I of s, which is equal to 5 upon s, and I will take all the terms I of s on the left hand side. So it will be I of s square plus 4s plus 5, and we have seen that the 5 upon s, that is the Laplace of the forcing function plus all the initial conditions. What are the initial conditions? S plus 2 plus 4, which is 6. Okay, so your resultant I of s will be this will be what, 5 plus s square plus 6s over s, and this is s square plus 4s plus 5. Okay, now I'll find out the roots. So definitely the roots are like this. So what will be the roots? Minus b plus minus b square, that is 4 minus 20 divided by 2. So it will be something, roots I'll get it as 1 and 2. It is my solution. The roots are minus 2 plus minus j. Okay, so I'll write here I of s will be s square plus 6s plus 5 divided by s into s plus 2 plus j, s plus 2 minus j, and then I'll use the partial fraction k1 upon s plus k2 upon s plus 2 plus j or minus j plus s plus 2 minus j plus k2 conjugate, which will be s plus 2 plus j. Okay, and k1 I can simply find it out by putting s equal to 0, right? So it will be simply 1 because s is cancelled. So this will be, here also I can put s is 1, s is 0, so this is 0, and 5 upon 5 it is 1. Okay, so k1 will be 1. Is very easy. Now to compute k2, what I have to do, I have to multiply with s plus 2 minus j with this s square plus 6s plus 5 over s plus 2 minus j, s plus 2 plus j, and evaluate at s is equal to minus 2 plus j. So if you evaluate it, it comes out to be minus j for me. Okay, and which I'll express into polar form. So magnitude is 1 e raised to minus j theta is 90 degree. Okay, so now theta is minus 90 degree. Okay, and I will use the same form. So okay, first let me write I of s is 1 over s plus minus j, no? Plus minus j over s plus 2 minus j plus j over s plus 2 plus j, and you can take inverse. So I of t will be, this is u of t plus 2 times r. So 2 times r is 1 into e raised to alpha. Alpha is minus 2t into cosine of omega t is 2t minus theta is 90 degree. So which I can write ut plus 2 or 1 plus 2 e raised to minus 2t sine 2t. Now omega is how much? 1 cos t sine 1t into u of t. Note that u of t you have to mention. Okay, so this way also you can find out the residues, even the roots are complex conjugate, and you can use the standard pair to find out exactly the answer, what it is. Now with this I will take it some of the examples related with our circuits. Okay, we'll take it couple of examples. I will write first the differential equation, then we have to solve for, let's say, particular voltage or current, and how can we solve. So for that, let me use the simple RC circuit. So there is a switch like this, and R is connected with my C. Okay, and suppose this is V. Switch this case closed at t is equal to 0, R and C. Fine, and I have to solve for I. Okay, so simply you can write what it will be V u of t. It indicates that switch is closed at t is equal to 0, which is Ri plus 1 over C integral 0 negative to t I of tau d tau. Assume that your capacitor is initially relaxed. Means what? It is, there is no initial condition. So what I can write is V over S Laplace transform Ri of s plus 1 over Cs into I of s. Initial condition is 0, so that's why it is 0. So for that I of s I can write as this is V by S. So let me write one more step. V by S will be RCS plus 1 over CS into IS, and now I can write quickly. So I of s will be, okay, this is V into C by R into C, which will be S plus 1 by RC. Am I right? To make it, the coefficient of S is equal to 1. Okay, because this S will get cancelled, so it will be VC, right? And it is divided by RCS plus 1. I want the coefficient of S to be 1 to get it as to compute or to avail the standard pair for finding out the inverse. So RC I have taken common, so S plus 1 by RC, RC is here, CC will cancel, so it will be V by R into 1 over S plus 1 by RC. And now I can directly use my standard pair, which is V by R e raised to minus t upon RC into U of t. Okay, into U of t, because it is after switching the close, so t is greater than or equal to 0, and it is 0 for t less than 0. Okay, that way you can write for series RC quickly. How quickly you can find out with the help of Laplace transform. Okay, so if you use time domain, some sort of information you will know. If you use the Laplace domain, some sort of other information you will be able to reveal it. That is the reason you should try to solve the circuits using differential approach or Laplace, or by the use of physical inspection. Okay, and that you can verify using physical inspection also. Same with series RL. So I have a battery switch, there is R, and inductor Okay, so this is my V, and switch is closed at t is equal to 0, and I have to solve for I of t. Okay, so what will be, I can write the differential equation using the KVL. So Ri plus L di by dt, I will use the Laplace. So this switch is closed, means this will be V into u of t. So it will be V by S, it will be equal to R plus SL into I of S. Now I have to write for I of S, so it will be V over S into L, I'll take it common, so S plus R by L, okay, and then this will be V by L 1 over S into S plus R by L. Now I will use the partial fraction, so it will be K1 over S plus K2 over S plus R over L. You can find out K1, K2 as you know the process. I'll directly give you the values. K1 will be L by R. Okay, so if you solve it, it will be, okay, so K1 will be L by R and K2 will be minus L by R. So L by R, if you put L will cancel and R will be here. So it is V by R 1 over S minus 1 over S plus R over L. And what is the inverse? Inverse will be, I can use standard pair, so inverse of 1 upon S is 1 e raised to minus t R over L, or I'll write this way, e raised to minus R upon L into t into u of t. Okay, so how will be it? Initially L cannot have not been charged, so current cannot flow through it, that's why current will be 0, fine. And then as it switch closed, so inductor will start to charge it, so that current will flow and then it will remain constant. Okay, so the current will be like this, I of t. Okay, now one more example. This consists of two meshes. So this is the one example 5.19 from the book FFQ. Okay, so suppose I have this switch here. To that I am connecting the voltage source, resistor in series with inductor. This is the common resistance between two meshes, and again it connect inductor through it in series with resistor. Okay, two meshes are enough to solve, but to get it the concept and switch to understand how to solve it using Laplace. Switch is closed at k is equal to 0. Say the battery is of 100 volt. This resistance is of 10 ohm. This inductor is 1 Henry. This inductor is also 1 Henry. This resistor is 10 ohm resistor. This resistor is 10 ohm, and it has been asked you to solve for I1 as well I2 to find out I1 and I2. Okay, so very simple. Now using Laplace, now assume that all initial conditions are 0. Very good. So now I can solve it quickly. So for that, first let me write the equations. Anyhow, if the circuit is there, you have to model it. A mathematical model has to be there. So what it will be, L1 di1 by dt, okay, plus 10 I1 plus 10 I1 minus I2, which is 100 volt. Okay, and what will be this, di1 by dt plus 20 I1 minus 10 I2t, which is equal to 100. This is equation 1. Now for second mesh, let me start from here. So it will be L di2 by dt, so di2 by dt plus 10 I2 plus 10 I2 minus I1, which is equal to 0. So this also I can write as di2 by dt plus 20i2 minus 10i1, which is equal to 0. This equation 2. And now it is simple first order differential equation, so I can solve it quickly, right? So what is the Laplace? It will be s I1 of s plus 20 I1 of s minus 10 I2 of s, which is equal to 100 by s. This is equation 3, and I'll short s plus 20 I1 of s minus 10 I2 of s, which will be equal to 100 by s, okay, in systematic form. And what will be for, we are assuming that all initial conditions are 0, okay, I1 0 negative is 0, which is equal to I2 0 negative is equal to I2 0 positive also, fine. Now for second it will be minus 10 I1s plus s plus 20 I2 of s, which is equal to 0. And already we solved such kind of set circuit by the use of differential approach, right? So the same here, we have to find out determinant and all. So this I can express in matrix form: s plus 20 minus 10 minus 10 s plus 20. It will be I1 of s, I2 of s, which will be 100 by s and 0, okay. And now I have to solve for I1 of s. So in order to solve for I1 of s, how can we do it? I1 of s can be, it is determinant of 100 by s 0 and minus 10 upon s plus 20 divided by the determinant, which is s plus 20 minus 10 over minus 10 into s plus 20, okay. Using Cramer's rule, you know that, and which comes out to be 100 into, this is my solution, you can check it out, s into s square plus 40s plus 300, okay. And this is 100 into s plus 20 over s, and fortunately the roots are now simple, s plus 10 and s plus 30. I'll use the partial fraction because the order of numerator now less than order of denominator. So it is k1 over s plus k2 over s plus 10 plus k3 over s plus 30, okay. And then I will find out k1, k2, k3. So I got k1 as 6.66, k2 is minus 5, k3 is minus 1.33. So my I1 of t will be 6.66 minus 5 into e raised to minus 10t minus 1.33 into e raised to minus 30t all multiplied with u of t, okay. And if I would like to plot it, how will it be? It will be 6.66 like this, one term. Second is, it will be again negative, minus 5 e raised to minus 10t and something e raised to minus, this is e raised to minus 10t, e raised to minus 30t. If you add, resultant will be I1 of t, okay. Now to get it I2 of t, the same process you apply. So now for writing I2 of s, what it will be? S plus 20 minus 10, and it will be 100 by s into 0, and determinant will be same, okay. So same will, I will use I2 of s will be s plus 20 minus 10, first row column will be as it is, second column will be replaced by right hand side, and determinant is same, s plus 20 minus 10 into s plus 20, okay. And if you solve, it will be 1000 over s into s square plus 40s plus 300. Again the roots already we know. What are the roots of it? It will be 1000 over s plus 10 and s plus 3. So I'll directly express k1 by s, k2 over s plus 10 and k3 over s plus 30. Okay, and k1, k2, k3 you can find out. K1 is my 3.33, k2 will be minus 5 and k3 will be 1.67. okay, so that you can put, and you can write I2 of t will be 3.33 minus k2 minus 5 into e raised to minus 10t, and this will be k3 is also minus here, minus 1.67 e raised to minus 30t, and multiplied with u of t. This again same, 3.33 is your constant I2 of t. Here one will start from minus 5, it will go e raised to minus 20 like this. Other will start from minus 1.67, so it will go like this. You subtract it, whatever the resultant signal, it will be the current flowing in particular mesh. Okay, that is here I1 and I2. okay, so this way if there will be number of meshes, I think Laplace transform will be easiest tool to find out the particular voltage or current. So this is your choice from where you would like to go. You can solve these such kind of circuits using the differential approach or by the use of Laplace transform, and you can physically verify it also. Okay, so today we stop here. Next class we'll see the step and impulse response. Thank you very much.